Steve, the Zero Tolerance 0452 is a strange beast. It's a great knife, but if you ask a lot of knife guys, they won't touch it. I like it plenty. Nothing's wrong with it per se, so why am I getting rid of it? We'll get into that. First up, here are the stats. The 0452 CF you see here is probably the most widely sold model of the 0450 series by Zero Tolerance. Since I purchased it, ZT has produced a new version with red and black carbon fiber and a shiny DLC coated blade. I wish I had known to wait a mere 3 months for its release. I wish I had known that literally every other online dealer had it for a solid discount versus my local brick and mortar gun store. But neither of those are the reasons I'm getting rid of it. It's got a frame lock, otherwise known as a Reeves integral lock. Yup, the Sabinza guy made the frame lock. Now you can see why people go crazy for him. You just don't hear it called the Reeves integral because he, being a cool guy and all, decided not to patent what was, at the time, the next leap forward in pocket knife technology. That's pretty uncontroversial to say. But when you think about how the titanium frame lock has been the gold standard in folding knife technology for about 30 years now, it gets a lot more impressive. Speaking of old, the 0452 was released in 2016, while the original all-titanium 0450 was released in 2014. For being from 2016, the CF has a great flipping action. It feels like a button that you press for instant swing out, and it's suitably smooth. Unfortunately, age has taken its toll, and you can find equal flipper action for less than $100, and at the end of the day, that's a problem. There are quite a few deployment snobs to go with the Sneal snobs and every other type of knife elitist. Tons of people won't buy a flipper-only knife. That's not a bugbear for me. Same with the pocket clip, which is a bit puny since it was released before the days of deep carry, but the fact that you can get better for less, a lot less, that is my problem. But it's still not the main problem. On another note, I love the design of this thing, but it's a bit of a tall ask to EDC. The 4.5-inch blade makes it a little bit much, even for a guy over 6 foot, and this Sinkovich designed steak knife looks a little bit stabby. I dig the tactical aesthetic, and I work in the construction industry, so it's usually not a problem. But can you imagine slinging this hash slasher out in front of some little old lady? That's a heart attack waiting to happen, and I do not have lawsuit money. When I got it, I wanted a one-and-done knife that could take a beating while looking really cool. Well, you guys can clearly see what my channel looks like, so it's mission failed. We'll get him next knife. Call me lame, and I am, but when I was choosing this knife, I thought to myself, what would Rick Owens pick in a knife? Rick Owens is a fashion designer who is famous for goth aesthetics, minimalism, and eclectic tastes. He makes a lot of his personal items by hand or picks exactly one thing to be quote-unquote his. To put it in gun guy terms, he owns exactly one type of pistol, a Luger. My goal was something minimal, powerful, with modern materials and classic design. I picked this knife because it met all of those criteria, with a striking but familiar feel and great action. Unfortunately, the knife hobby was not one and done for me, as I am a shameless consumer/collector. I love options and variety and lining up all of my various little thingies for a photo. So instead of sticking with one knife, I continued to buy more. Now that I have more expensive knives, less expensive knives, and every type of deployment known to man, I just never carry it. Something else always draws my eye first, and that is the problem. It doesn't stand out from the crowd to warrant a forever home in my collection like the Cold Steel 8015, nor is it part of a brand or line I want to keep a large collection of like Spyderco or Rough Rider. So it's basically an expensive chunk of change sitting on display as a reminder that I overpaid for a knife that is really showing its age. It's a totem to poor purchases for me, and that sucks because it's a great knife. That's why I'm selling it on. There's somebody out here who will love this knife dearly, but it's just not me. It feels like breaking up with a girlfriend that has always done right by you, because it really is you and not her. I hate to end on a down note for what is actually a really good product, so I'd like to mention that Zero Tolerance is still an awesome company. I wanted a knife from them because my buddy had one, and that thing has taken years of abuse, yet his example has zero blade play. And from what I've seen, their QC has not dropped at all, unlike some other big American makers. So they still make a knife that lives up to their name and mission. The 0452 CF is still really good and remains an excellent choice for many people. But as always, you should take a moment before you purchase anything. Really reflect and consider how you will feel holding it in your hand a month from now when you inevitably continue to be yourself. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Leave me a like to tell the algorithm that you'd like to see more of these videos, and sub to my second channel, the Cheap Tea Podcast, if you want a weekly live show where you can get my unorthodox takes on everything under the sun, while this channel stays a home for knives and entertainment that everyone can enjoy. I've been T, you've been you. Peace.